Well, good morning there, Breakfast with the Broker, every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. or thereabouts. We had a little technical difficulties, but we are on live now, and we have a special treat. So without further ado, and now, by way of Columbia, Missouri, she was the 2018 National Association of Realtors president. She is the CEO of RE/MAX Boone Realty. She's a proud supporter of Children's Miracle Network. She loves anything Madonna. She is an international motivational speaker and an entrepreneur. She self-describes herself as a plain old person from mid-Missouri with a whole lot of energy. 3, 2, 1, own it. She is Elizabeth J. Mendenhall.
Oh my gosh, you never know what's out there on the internet that you're going to find. Good morning. David is so sweet and kind. He's like claiming technical difficulties. It's almost 9 a.m. Central time. But nice to see you.
Nice to see you. I got to say, it's obviously a huge pleasure to bring you on. And as we were talking off air, you're very well respected in the industry, and we appreciate all the service that you've done for the National Association of Realtors and your local association as well. So,
well, you're not doing that, and I want to say back at you. I know sometimes, again, like your agents, it's like, what does my broker do? And I will tell you, David, that I love following you. You are always providing like good comment on our RE/MAX forums and chats, and I love seeing what you're doing. So it's an honor for me to be here with you today and to say.
Well, thank you. So let's talk a little bit about
office, seeing like what's in the background that I can steal or like get ideas from.
It's my numbers. I really need to update those. Yeah. And then I have my favorite picture. So it's 5 kids are harder to kidnap.
Great.
So let's talk a little bit about leadership. What does leadership mean to you?
Oh my gosh. I think, it's such a big word, but it's so small and kind of simple at the same time. And, I think it's taking care and taking charge. This year, of course, I mean, how many times can we say it? It's been kind of different, been kind of crazy. I was just talking with Rebecca, your wonderful staff person who helps coordinate all this. And, I was able to lead the National Association, very honored to lead in 2018, but I can't imagine doing that this year. When COVID hit, it was all hands on deck for my office and for my agents. And I think that's part of what leadership is. It's about, are you taking care of the community, and does the community know that you're there to be the one who can support them and help them when things happen?
Absolutely.
It's complicated than that.
For viewers that don't know, obviously you're in Missouri, and how has Missouri handled COVID? Are the numbers high? Is it how is the real estate market? Were they an essential state? That kind of thing.
We've been essential from the get-go, so that was really nice. Missouri's all across the board, like many states are. It's different. I'm in a college town, and so we're kind of grappling right now with the college kids coming back. Our numbers are kind of sky high. We made some national news over the weekend because our positivity rate was over 50%. So wow. We're trying to figure that out. At the same time, in our state, our governor has been one of the most lenient as far as policies go. We've been able to have concerts, the entire time. We kind of ended up on the news in the get-go of Memorial Day, our Lake of the Ozarks, which I get so many questions asked about Ozarks because of the Netflix show. But I think, I think overall our market's been crazy busy. It's been up for sure, but it's more so just like any place. The inventory's been so short, so in such low supply that it's really busy. When houses come on the market, like we're racing and going crazy, just kind of like every place else is. Our resort communities are going through the roof, as I know Florida is, with people buying second homes, or at least shifting. Shifting is my word for the year, and I think we'll see that going into 2021.
Well, Florida's, used to making the news. We make the news for everything stupid, so we do a good job. Whether it's voting, whether it's all kinds of stuff, we won't get into all that. But it is, funny because when you say Missouri, people automatically, Ozarks, right? Because of the show and stuff like that. Are you even close to like, where's Columbia?
Columbia is smack dab in the middle, right between Kansas City and St. Louis. So it's great because we can get to either one in 2 hours, kind of have that big area. Our town's about 150,000 in the county. That'll grow with the students coming in, about 25 to 30,000. And then OZARK is just about an hour and 15 minutes south. So it's kind of the premier, kind of weekend getaway spot. A lot of people will have second homes there. And I will say there is a lot on the show that is true. They don't have gambling yet, though. They're certainly trying to. If they did, that would be a big deal.
That's awesome. And how did you get in? Obviously you're a broker, CEO of your company, and how did you get into the real estate business? And then maybe a second part question is, how did you decide that you wanted to actually serve in a realtor association capacity?
Sure. So I'm part of the, if your family does it, kind of get in and jump in. I'm actually a 6th generation realtor. We've been selling kind of real estate since 1894 in mid-Missouri. I was in school and I was managing a restaurant, kind of working my way through school. They had a local chain, so I ended up being a manager. They had 5 restaurants. So I was doing a lot of hiring and sometimes firing of people along the way. And I went to my dad at one point, and I don't know. I said, I'm thinking. I said, what if I came and worked for you? And he's like, no, that's not an option. I was like, oh, okay. And I think, David, I didn't understand the difference between being a agent and like working for the company, at that point in time, understanding the two. So about 2 years later, he came to me and he said, I have a position now, and his assistant was leaving. And he said, if you want to interview it, you can. So I interviewed for 2 hours with my dad in the car and, asking your strengths, weaknesses, where do you want to go, all those things, which was kind of a crazy conversation. And my mom said, if you're young, you get started, you love it, you get a head start on things. If you're not, you're young enough, you can go do something else. So that was in 96. He was actually national president in 2001. Almost 50% of the people who have been president of our local association, which is only 650, it's a real small association, have been from our office. So we have this culture of involvement, and we've had, women's council presidents, local presidents, and now, just so much involved, state presidents in our office. So when an agent came to me and she said, you need to go to this state meeting, she was our state women's council president. I was like, oh, okay, I'll show up. All right, I'll go to support her. That was my job, working in the office to support her. And I showed up at the meeting, and my dad was kind of coming down the stairs. He's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, well, I thought that's what we did. I just kind of thought that's what we did. And so then along the way, what I found was that being involved, and I'm sure you have found this along the way. I mean, it really gives you an insight more as to what's happening in the industry, what tools are available that we can use as a brokerage to help support our agents. I was involved in the forums, which I think was so critical of understanding and knowing those documents that we're doing to represent our clients. I really kind of leaned towards the education and more strategic planning side, but I got dragged in to chair a legislative committee, and someone said, no, you have to do this. You have to understand this process. And, a single piece of legislation can change this industry just overnight. And so we have this power to be involved in that and to be part of that, and a responsibility if we want to have the flexibility and freedom that we do in our businesses and with our clients, that we've got to take ownership of. We're the ones who oversee this real estate industry, and better us than someone who doesn't do it. So I kind of got hooked, and, you never know where it's going to take you. And all along the way, I remember there were kind of different touch points where it was like, hey, okay, that's it. I'm done. That's enough. And then someone kind of asks you and says, hey, will you do more? And I think, we know this as a broker, we know this, we talk about this with our agents, do we have a career or do we have a calling? Are we part of, something that we just do every day, or are we part of something bigger? And I think being involved in the association for me was that understanding that we could be involved in something a little bit bigger, and it kind of feeds your soul. and understanding that. And I find that with, again, when people are kind of struggling or what do I do, or not feeling a sense of community, which can be really hard in our industry, that's a good balance to what we're doing every day in our offices, and really bringing more purpose, if you will, to our.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I mean, I got roped into the association too. Uh, no, but it's funny because I'm also a nepotism product, and and we've been family owned and operated, not 6 generations though, just one.
Yeah.
That's crazy, but when you get involved in the association, it's not what you think it's going to be. Yeah, I mean, it really becomes a family. But imagine this. Imagine a world in a society where you have people from all different walks of life, of all different companies, of all different stages of success, and they're your friends, they're your family, and you're kind of making that next steps, and being able to lean on those people. And that's what that association really kind of does. Maybe it's an unintended consequence, maybe it's an intended consequence, but I think that that's what I didn't understand. I think that the service of our industry is so important, more now than ever before, as data really, it's been important before, but as data, keeps evolving, and technology and AR and all these different AI and all this other stuff that's going to come out, you need to be prepared, and be 1 or 2 steps ahead. And so, I mean, it's kind of a segue into, what do you think the market's going to be like? What do you think is the real estate industry going to change in the next 5 years?
Well, I hope so. I hope it changes every year, otherwise something's kind of going wrong. Yeah, and I think this year has just kind of jumped us up to light speed in some areas where we knew we should have been way better. There's not a single piece of technology that has been invented since March 15th. We have now used it differently. Finally, we kind of lag behind because we are such a person-to-person business, a touch point business, but now this whole world has opened up to us of ways we can do things differently. And I actually appreciate the fact that COVID's continuing, because it's forcing us to keep going with some of this. And I think, again, consumers are now expecting it. We know we're in the prime, the millennials, they're the prime home buying and selling. And for many of the millennials, not behind them, yes, there's a lot of college students, servers, that age group, restaurant workers who don't have jobs, but a lot of them weren't owning homes anyway. But the millennials who are really leading these tech revolutions, and the companies and the data companies, they still have their jobs, and they're looking for homes. They're building families. They're going to need homes. And it's there, the good news is they're at the height of their home buying process, and the low inventory is part of what's, jamming up with them, is these 80 million people are now in this home buying stage. So will that continue? Absolutely. Will we still shift's my word, right? Are we going to see a lot of shifting from, you look at what I just see, was it Gap who's closing all of these stores? Well, you're talking about, middle managers, upper managers of all of these corporations who are having these massively substantial financial shifts. Well, those now we're starting to get into Gen X, we're starting to get into baby boomers who aren't going to have those jobs. Are they going to be moving? Yes, absolutely. Our commercial executives, are they going to be shifting? The ones who are managing the office space, the ones who are, in charge of this. I mean, there's a lot of people that it takes, as to manage a building, a physical building. And when you don't have that space anymore, whether it's cleaning, supplying the coffee, making sure that the light bulbs get changed, in those spaces, is that all going to shift? For sure. So I think we will see some of our probably more dramatic changes over the next couple of years as PPP money starts to dry up, unemployment starts to dry up, tax revenue and the basis are just plummeting in these cities. And the good news is people are going to need professional help along the way. And I say that they are going to need professional help, because if they don't have professional help, they're already in a strapped financial situation, and they will get taken advantage of. And that's the piece that I worry about, is the people who are looking to take financial advantage of homeowners, property owners. You know, we're going to have to be way more diligent about what we're advocating for, how our property is being managed, the processes on how it's being redistributed, and it's gonna take all of us to be part of that.
Well, you said it perfectly, and I think it's we do have we got to be ahead of the curve, and we got to really take into account these next 2 to 4 months. Because I think that we still have a pent-up demand, and inventory is relatively low. Not to say that won't be the case, but it probably won't be the case in 6 months, 8 months down the line. You'll have some kind of similar correction or something that that is coming in, and it's really contributing factors are exactly what you stated.
Long term, you start 8 and 10 years out. Right now, we know that we are at one of the longest time periods where people have been in their homes. They've been in their homes for 8 to even 11. I mean, those numbers are fluctuating, that they have been in a home, which is the longest we've seen in a while. Well, why is that? Well, that's because 2008 market crashes, first-time homebuyer incentives, interest rates fall extraordinarily low. And so that keeps someone in their house for a long period of time. When they have that low interest rate, even when it bumps up 1%, that's a 25% difference from when they got, maybe a house in 2008, 2010, 2011, during those time frames. So now what happens? Well, okay, interest rates drop even further. People shift. That'll shrink the time we've had in the time, buyers or sellers are in their homes for a while. My brother, he got an extraordinarily low rate 2 years ago. Well, now he's taking advantage of the rate. He's been in the house for 2 years. So that number will start to come down. But I think 10 years out, oh my gosh, that number starts to expand. And what I'm, talking to my agents about all the time is, when the average seller lived in their house for 5 to 7 years, and now that number is up to, 8 to 10 years, you have to have double the clientele to maintain the same type of business that you're thinking about. So what can you do today to make sure that, I think it's logical 10, 15 years down the line, we're seeing people who have been in their homes for 10 and 15 years and they're not moving because they got a, 2.75 rate. So what can you do to build your business so that, 5 years, 10 years out, you've got 3 times the database in your system. You've got to be doing that now, today, to make sure that you can be in this business for a while. And then couple that with, changing demographics, AI, predictive analytics, knowing that you're going to have some recession, which could even be higher from other people tapping into your database. Get your databases organized and healthy.
Absolutely. Love it. So I always thank you very much for coming on. But I always end the segment with kind of 2 questions, or a 2-part question. One is what's your favorite Netflix or streaming series, and
Okay.
And 2 are what are you currently watching?
My favorite Netflix streaming or series. I was all into Game of Thrones. That's the immediate thing that comes to my mind. I will say that this summer I watched Anne with an E. It was like the cutest show ever. I was crying every time I saw Anne with an E. And that was just making me just tear up the whole time. I thought it was the sweetest could be. Currently, what I'm watching, I had never jumped into Schitt's Creek. And so that is where I am, and loving, just laughing at every moment of it.
Awesome. Elizabeth, thank you so very much for coming on and talking. I think in summary, we talked about leadership, and we talked about, getting your database right and organized and serving your industry. It's not just about you and all the people, but it's also about your legacy and how you really, shine through and help and, be part of something bigger than what you are. So I love it.
What you're doing, the vice president of your association, and kind of moving up those ranks. And not only that, but you're such a leader in the RE/MAX network. I appreciate it and And that is part of our community that I lean into to get good information as we move forward. There's no better place to find things.
You're the best. Thanks. Thanks, Elizabeth.
All right, thanks.
Very much. Breakfast with the Broker every Tuesday at 9 a.m. or thereabouts. Listen, we will have a special guest next week. We'll give you a little hint. They love video. And there's a bomb over here with video. So we're going to have a lot of fun with them. So we will talk with them, discuss video, email marketing and such. So next Tuesday at 9 a.m. Elizabeth, thanks so much. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.